All right, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and get started as people start trickling in. So my name is Sophia Willis, and I am the program manager for new materials and packaging and sustainability here at Plug and Play. And before we start this presentation, I'm just going to give a very brief overview of Plug and Play and who we are. So you can go to the next slide. Thank you. So we bring many different stakeholders together through our platform, but the main two are corporations and startups. So startups are nimble, they have ideas, but they lack the necessary resources. On the other hand, we have corporations that are slower, but have all of the resources. So by introducing the two, Plug and Play is really in a position to drive and push innovation where it might not have existed before. There are 3 things that we do here at Plug and Play. We run an accelerator program with over 60 programs a year with a diverse set of startups, typically ranging from pre-seed to Series B. We also have corporate innovation with actually now over 500 corporate partners that engage with us through all of the different events that we host. We also have Plug and Play itself invests in the venture capital space with over 220 investments a year and an extensive network with other VCs across the industries that we co-invest with. So here, again, you can see the different things that Plug and Play offers to all of its stakeholders. So we have peer-to-peer networking with corporations. So not only do they get to be introduced to startups, but also fellow corporate partners. For startups, we have our business development program. We offer office space when it was possible and IT support and much, much more. And here you can see our global presence. We have over 35,000 startups in our ecosystem and across the globe with 30 locations. And that number really does just keep growing. As you can see, we're really active in Europe and Asia, as well as, of course, in North America, where our headquarters are. And yeah, there are really a lot of different ways that corporations and startups can engage with Plug and Play. There are opportunities for startups and corporations to connect through our many events, including selection days, summits, focus weeks, networking sessions, deal flows, office hours, deep dives, and so much more. Not only do startups and corporations get to meet each other, but also, as I mentioned before, corporate partner and corporate to corporate connections are really important, as well as startup to startup collaboration. We see that every program where startups can also meet each other and work together to drive innovation. And that's it for me on my brief opening remarks. So I'm going to introduce Alexa, the co-founder of Moeco. And Alexa, if you want to take it away.
Now that I'm unmuted, I can just go ahead and start. I also want to introduce Kyle, who is hosting these webinars together with me. And hi, everyone. Together with Kyle, we're going to present the topic of today's webinar, which is the future of work and everything around automation and how to make organizations move a better and more efficient way. We are from the technology side together with Kyle, and then Anyanta, who is from corporate side of DuPont, will also follow up on our speech today. So the future of work is already here. We cannot deny it. The robotics, AI, and everything around it, everything that we know about it exists in the corporations, and actually corporations are implementing and using it. The only thing that we have to mind is what's the outcome, right? So there are a lot of buzzwords, but at the end of the day, each organization is focused on what is the return of investments. If we're going to invest in robotics, if we're going to invest in any type of work automation, how much money we're going to spend on that, and how much savings we're going to have at the end. And being from the technology side, I will speak about some of the less expensive options and explore everything around it. And because of COVID-19, digitalization process even accelerated. in all the areas, and especially even in orthodox areas of businesses. And as we see here, the wholesale and retail is very much affected by this job automation process. And we're today just going to see what are the technologies that companies are implementing to automate and make their wholesale and retail more sustainable, as the customers are now switched to digital in most of cases, especially when they're buying online. They kind of require more these days, and big corporations have to accept that and admit that. That's the McKinsey report showing how COVID-19 has accelerated the transition to the automation in businesses and corporations. Customers turn to deliveries and online operations more than they ever did before. And the main focus and things here that the service at all stages of the process, the goods quality assurance and shipping, feedback, reduction of the direct communication with the client requires implementing a new technologies these days. Manufacturers in their turn really need more control of their assets in warehouses and to provide a better understanding about the goods being transported. And we're going to explore everything around that aspect today. So as for any manufacturing company that produces goods, they spend a lot of time and effort, that means money, all around an inventory and quality control process, supply chain management, as well as the dealing with any type of issues that might occur during transportation. And that very much affects the brand name, the customer success at the end of the day, and it really influences the brand. And everything around here is related to data, right? So we're now focusing more and more on what kind of data we have and when, because real-time data is really needed to support all these processes and automate them in order to reduce the human effort around all the supply chain logistics and inventory process. So let's see the product journey from the manufacturer to the end customer, and how the data could be applied here, and what are the technologies that we could use around this product journey process. The main problem around here is there's no single source of the data throughout the whole process from manufacturer to end customer. There are a lot of stakeholders who are holding pieces of information about product on their side. Let's say a manufacturer has shipped their goods, and then the logistics company picks up the goods and transport it over to distributor. And everyone is just aware of their piece of information about the product when the product is on their side. So the exact real-time shipment location is missing. So people have to check, make calls. They're not aware about any potential damages. So there is a lot of risks during the risk transfer in between those stakeholders. And especially what's missing these days, even though we think that logistic companies would cover most of that, there's also storing conditions where there's also a lot of risks related to damages of the goods. So any type of technology that could provide more data around it in a continuous manner, that we can see the product journey from manufacturer to end user, would be helpful, as we think And what if all this data could be reflected in a single screen? And the product owner, the manufacturer who's sending the goods and who takes care mostly about the quality of their goods that they're sending to the end customer, could see all the data about the product and the potential risks in a single screen. That's kind of our goal. But we think about how do we source the data about the products to be able to reflect it in a screen and given access to the manufacturer. So the only way to source the data is with the help of so-called sensors or so-called tags. Some of the companies name it like a package twin or a digital twin. You may have heard of that a lot. And to our consideration, because we're for more than 10 years in technology, both in hardware and software, that is one of the cheapest options to source the data about the physical world using these smaller types of sensors. And what is more efficient, the connectivity part? How does the data flows from the sensor to the software platform? Preferably, we need the data in real time. So we have to provide the mobile connectivity in order to source the data from the physical product and to upload it to the software platform. Also, this data has to go, this sensor, this hardware piece should be used one time, because we've seen different use cases when companies use these types of tags and then they have to ship them back all the way from the end user back to manufacturer. And that is sometimes even not possible because end users are just throwing away the packaging and that's it. And we have to think about like what kind of tag should we provide so it could go one way only and that is disposable. And these days there are technologies that can make it possible and that could allow us to create a disposable digital twin. And this also should be easy to use, right? So people don't have to do extra work rather than automate what is already there. And the sensor should be really easy to attach as a stick and go option. And with no pain, like how do we then take it off from the packaging, right? So this is just one of the example of how the work could be automated with the help of the technology, where we don't have to think about how much we invest and when the outcome is going to come. So this tag usually costs on a manufacturing from $1 to $15, depending on the volume that anyone might order. And that's a manufacturing cost. Basically, that's a net cost of the sensor production. So organizations that are thinking about digitizing their assets might have a better idea about the pricing. The pricing couldn't be possible, this lower pricing couldn't be possible like 2 or 3 years ago, even though we just, the technologies were not there. And because there's a lot of different smaller chips that were created for the last 2 or 3 years, we now have this opportunity to get a smaller and a cheaper options of digitalization of anything in a physical world. We're now talking about the products and shipments. Think about digitizing anything else and gather data. So the data that the smaller chip can get about the product would be the temperature, any type of acceleration, that the damage could be detected in real time, and even the humidity and other requirements that any type of sensitive goods might have could be sourced with this cheap, small, easy to use technology that is already there. So companies do not have to invest a big volumes of their budgets into the technology to have everything automated. And I will now turn to Onyansa to speak a little bit about the use cases that the DuPont on their side have implemented and what type of benefits they have on their side, what type of automation they have with the help of this technology. So I will now turn the word to Onyansa and present her and just probably stop screen sharing so she can share screen on her side. Onyansa?
Thanks, Alexa. Okay, I'll just quickly share my screen. All right, so the partnership with Moeco and DuPont started out last year with my colleague Irina, who's here today. It was mostly to help us in some logistics efforts within the supply chain function for DuPont Water Solutions business. This is the business unit inside of DuPont as a whole. So we wanted to use the sensor or the trackers to see how we could improve certain operational processes within the logistics space, which I will touch on soon. But then it expanded into marketing and specifically customer experience, and to see how we could use this same capability to improve communications with our customers during the transit phase of their buying journey. The Moeco solution was to give us essentially visibility, near real-time visibility on our cargo when it's in our warehouses and as soon as it leaves our warehouses all the way down to the end user location, or if we have distributors in the middle of the value chain, then that would be tracked as well. And we were also going to see how we could expand these capabilities and benefits across the organization, because as I mentioned earlier, Water Solution is just one small business unit within the organizations. We could see how we could share our learnings within the whole company and kind of be an ambassador of the solution to the entire organization. So these are the different buckets of activities we're hoping to get. I'll just pull all of that on the screen now. So first of all, I am the customer experience marketing specialist. So a lot of what I was focused on during this partnership was on the marketing side of things, to see how we could use this sensor tracker to improve certain gaps we had identified in the function. So first and foremost was to fix a communication blind spot. So we get an order within the organization. We have our internal processes that gets the order prepared and then it gets shipped. So at this stage, we hand over the cargo to our logistic partners. But then we kind of lose all ownership and visibility to an extent of what happens during transit, because we only get certain milestone updates, like, oh, it has left this facility, it has arrived at this facility, it has arrived at the end user, and there are gaps in between. And within those gaps, we tend to have delays and issues, mostly due to the logistic partners. But we, at the other hand, had to take responsibility of the communication with our customers. So the customers would not get on the phone and call the logistic partner, or they would not get on the phone screaming at DHL or whoever to know where their order is and why it's not meeting the communicated estimated delivery schedule. So with this capability of us seeing where the cargo was at all times, we will be equipping our CSRs and any customer-facing employee with the real life timely information on where our cargo is at all stages, and they would be able to set up notification or ping for when a certain order has not moved past where it's supposed to be over a time frame, and they can kind of proactively step in and begin the conversation with the shipper before it becomes a problem for our customers. So we wanted to see how we could give them more power to be more problem solving and more proactive, as opposed to waiting for the customers to already get frustrated and then trying to see how we can fix the problem. So we're essentially trying to fix a blind spot there, take some ownership back of the transit process. Then asset tracking as well, it's been good for us to know where our products are at all times. We do tend to do a lot of our business through middlemen, distributors, wholesalers, all that. So we don't necessarily know where the products end up in terms of the end user location. So with this, we would be able to get data as well that can help us know where exactly our products are being used, which is good information for us to have. And also asset life monitoring. If we're able to track and know when this cargo left the warehouse, Our products have certain like lifespans or shelf lives, if you will. So we know when the replacement cycle is coming up, and then our marketing and commercial teams can use this data to be more proactive in terms of engaging either with the distributor or the end user to sell, maybe to upsell innovation, and also to just get them to make sure that the products they're using are working optimally. So all this information we were going to put into like a data bank, and then use predictive analysis to be able to see how we can use this to get value for the business. Moving to logistics now, there are many benefits we saw having with the Moeco tracker, but some of which I will talk about now is product loss avoidance. So we tend to ship our products either from warehouse to warehouse, that's DuPont to DuPont, or from our warehouse to the customer, distributor, whoever. And sometimes these products are not shipped in the right storage conditions. And this is very critical for some of our products. So with this DuPont sensor, as Alexa mentioned, they're able to track humidity, temperature, shock and vibration. So this way we can actually monitor and see if our partners are actually storing these products in the right conditions as they transit them to their final destinations. And then obviously we can use this to recover costs from carriers. So if the reason why the products or the cargo got damaged was due to their poor lack of storage conditions, or because we provide this information to them, then we can be able to recover some of the cost, as it will be a warranty case, and they would have to recoup the cost of that as well. So in summary, some of the return on investment drivers we're looking at: number one, first and foremost, we're trying to become a more customer-centric organization. In today's day and age, we all know how important it is to always listen to the customer and infuse the voice of the customer in all that we do. So improving our customer satisfaction rating was at the forefront of one of my the benefits I wanted to make sure we could get. So any way we could improve customer loyalty and reduce churn, that was of high importance to us. Revenue and realization. So that ties back to the asset life monitoring. If we're able to follow up on the replacement cycles based on when the assets left our warehouses and all that, we can actually realize some of the revenue faster. And as I said, also introduce conversations around like innovation and how we can be doing better in the markets. Cost savings from preventing loss, I already explained this, and then pushing low and slow moving inventory. So sometimes, and this is on a bigger scale, if we're going to put these sensors on all the products we're manufacturing, which is a big dream, we would know which inventories have been sitting in the warehouse longer than others. There are different ways of tracking this, obviously internally, but this would have just been an extra way of monitoring this, and we would be able to push this out the door faster instead of them just sitting in the warehouse at the back shelf. And obviously, we were going to help our CSRs, who are our customer support representative, spend more of their time on more high value activities as opposed to trying to track updates on orders and getting on the phone when it has become a problem. The main thing here is to step in before it becomes an issue for our customers and not after. So what we did with Moeco is we did a pilot last year in 2 phases. So the phase 1 was to track shipments internally, just the CSRs. Obviously, we notified the customers because it was going to go to a customer warehouse, but they didn't have any action to do except returning the trackers to us because we didn't use the disposable trackers for this phase of the tracking. So we had to train the CSRs on how to use the Moeco tracking platform, how to set reminders and updates, and just how to navigate the tracking portal and ask questions or escalate issues should there be any. We had to carefully select the cargoes we wanted to track. We had certain criteria, maybe the type of product, the geography it's going to. We wanted it to be as spread out as possible from different warehouses in Europe, South Africa, Asia, spreading it out as much as possible, and also tracking all the storage conditions during transits. Yeah, that's another thing. We checked places with very low temperatures and high temperatures. So in the Middle East and also some colder regions to see how the assets were being tracked and in the conditions were being tracked in. So after the first phase of the survey, again, we didn't give visibilities to the customer, just the CSRs internally. So we got feedback from them on things we could be doing better, improvements. And the great thing about Moeco here is that they were able to implement these improvements on the go. So as we were telling them about what we needed to change, they were able to fix it, and we were improving the process as we went along. And then phase 2, the same thing, selected more orders to track. But in this phase, we're exploring a track it yourself option, where we were going to give certain customers access to the dashboard as well. So obviously we can't give every customer this access. So we've discussed ways internally how we would select the customers to give this access to. So maybe high value customers, or we're trying to reward loyalty. So it can be some kind of loyalty reward program, or very sensitive cargo that needs to get to a certain place, very time sensitive, or maybe the particular product we're shipping has very high sensitivity in terms of like the storage conditions. So it's going to be on a case by case basis. So we selected a few customers to give access to the tracking portal as well. And at the end of the day, we also did a survey. So all this information and feedback we got from the 2 phases, both internally and externally, now helped inform us on the kinds of orders how widely we would want to implement this in the future, and the kinds of orders we would be tracking. Have I left anything out? Sorry, let me just. Okay, so I don't know if I need to talk about the device itself, but obviously, as you can see, it was very easy to use. We didn't have any issues in terms of like CSRs or the users being able to use the platform in terms of tracking, and also from the supply chain side, they were able to attach this to the products without any issues, and we were able to get in this case, we did reverse logistics, so we're able to get them packaged. We prepared the return orders, so no hassle or cost to our customers, and they were simply picked up on their location and returned back to us, because again, we did not use the disposable tracker for this one. But as you can see on the slide, they do have the disposable ones, and if and when we're going to expand the scope of this project, that would be the focus, to use the disposable one to cut out the costs and the hassle of reverse logistics. So it was a very good learning experience. We already have interest from other businesses within DuPont that want to use it more internally in terms of like monitoring their assets within the warehouse as it goes from one stage to the other. So we're already seeing synergies in the use of the tracker, and hopefully it's something we're going to continue to do to be more self-sufficient and take more ownership of all the entire buying journey. So not just the order processing, but also the transit phase of our customers' buying journeys. I think that's where I'm going to stop for now.
Thank you, Anyanta. That was a really great experience working with you, and I think we're learning from each other a lot. And this time I'm going to turn to Kyle, and maybe he would either just announce some questions from the audience, or just ask some questions from his side that might be a great moderation process. Kyle is really great in that, so I'm going to turn to Kyle.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Anyanta, as well, for sharing the lessons learned and also a little bit more about the use case. We do have a few questions that have come in, and I want to start with one real quick, Anyanta, based off of something you just mentioned. You know, you said that you and your team at DuPont had learned a lot during this initial pilot, and I wanted to ask, from those lessons learned, I mean, you know, integrating any new technology into an organization of any size really can be a heavy lift nonetheless. And so curious, you know, some of those lessons learned that you and your team were able to experience in making this a smooth transition, you know, introducing a new technology, a new device into that. What were some of those lessons learned that helped you through this process?
Okay, introducing new technologies is always tricky. So first and foremost, you have to make sure you get high-level buy-in from all the leaders that this is going to impact their work process in any way, shape, or form. So from logistics, just the fact that someone has to have the responsibility of attaching the trackers physically to the product. Trainings as well. We needed to make sure that everyone that needed to know about the platform and the products had the right trainings at the right time, and also communication. You cannot underestimate the power of communication. You have to make sure the customers know, because we had a situation where we almost put a tracker on a customer who was going to send it to an end user who saw that as a security breach. So like communication to all the right stakeholders is very key. And then also it needs to be clear. Define your use cases early. We had like clear use cases that we wanted to test. So we did have that structure, but as the project evolved, that kind of like changed, and we saw like it had more benefits in certain more other areas than we had anticipated, and not necessarily just supply chain. It had more benefits to the kind of information we were going to get out of it and the value that could be for commercial and marketing, as opposed to just supply chain, knowing where it is at all times. We also learned, okay, and then something that also, I guess this is a learning we took back to Moeco, is I wanted to use it to be able to see if we could get like a very clear, accurate location on the map of where it was at this time. So we had an address, we knew where it was going. So we gave it to our marketing team that were on the field trying to scout for new projects, and told them to figure out where that was. We knew the address, but they didn't. So we wanted to see the level of accuracy he had. And from that, we learned that we needed to kind of like reduce the radius of the accuracy a bit more to be able to give us an actual address, because it was giving us a very big range in an area we couldn't really tell where it was. So yeah, to recap, like communication, get stakeholder buy-in, and as you test new technologies, just create the right use cases and be able to make sure they are flexible enough to change as you go, because new variables will be included as you move along.
It's great. And back on communication, I mean, how did your customers feel, once they were able to see the product in works, in motion? I mean, was this something they were very excited about? They saw more data, more potential for their end user clients? And I've got a question that relates to that here in just a moment. But in terms of your customers, how were they communicating back to you? Were they excited? Was this something they saw as, bright and excitement to the digitization of their businesses, or was there pushback?
I'll split it now. So for our internal customers, so that's the CSRs who were on the phone every day and the account managers getting screaming customers, they were excited. They were ecstatic to have this level of information and real-time accuracy to be able to convey that information to their customers. But then from the external customer, we kind of got like a mix, because a big chunk of our customers are distributors, right? And these products go to the end users. So some of them didn't necessarily want us knowing where it was going to, because they felt we were probably trying to cut them out of the line or whatever. So managing that expectation well, and telling them we're just using this for informational purposes. We're not trying to cut them out of the value chain. That has never been our strategy, and we don't intend to change that anytime soon. And we had to include some wordings in some contracts just to make sure they were at ease, in fact, knowing that we weren't trying to cut them out of the value chain. So yeah, it was a mix of both. Internally ecstatic, the information was exactly what they needed to empower them to be able to proactively react to certain situations, and externally as well. Some customers, especially the end users, not the distributors, now were happy to be able to just log into a page and see where their cargo was in transit. Gave them this sense of calm, and just knowing, when you know something, you just at ease. So that information was good as well.
Positive integration of technology versus a pushback. I think that's in quick summary, and you're absolutely spot on. And Michelle had a question from the audience, and that was in regards to the pilot that you just went over with Moeco, and maybe Alexa can chime in as well. Was this pilot all around B2B product tracking, or any B2C, so business to business versus business to customer product tracking? I will
speak first. It was both. We did B2B in the sense we even did warehouse to warehouse. So we manufacture huge amounts of reverse osmosis membrane that we send to the Middle East. So we tracked the transshipment of our own cargo to our own warehouse. And also we had a mix of the selection. So we had a mixture of distributors, end users, resellers in the mix across different geographies to get a good sense and feel of all the different reactions across the value chain.
Thank you. And Alexa, anything to add?
Sure, just wanted to share when we were building the product, so that was kind of a big question to us. Should we make it a B2B or a B2C? And just because we wanted to bring the value to the parties that are going to use the product mostly in a bigger volume, let's say, we of course were focused on creating the product for B2B, so companies could see the more value in terms of volume that's the technology is going to be implemented, as well as some part of their operations would be improved dramatically, potentially with the help of this small implementation. We can see as a feedback from our clients, it is already happening, and we're very much focused on how do we automate processes internally in the organizations we work with to make them feel more value out of our products.
It's a great point, and taking it one step further. So looking at how optimization happens internally around processes, taking that to tracking around products for business to business and then business to customers, that next level, that next customer set. So is this something we'll see, the digitization of tracking products to households as well? And there was a great question about, while business to business is one piece of that, what about business to households or customer to households? And Alexa, maybe you want to start with this. Is this something you see the future of work or the future of digitization, being able to do product tracking into the households as well?
Yes, it's a great question. We have been asked this question a lot because people also willing to use the product and to see the benefits of it. That's kind of understandable, but from our side, being a small startup of 20 people, it's kind of hard to scale it to B2C products and spread the word so people could buy more of this and help us grow and help us deliver this technology. So potentially, I think within the next couple of years, we'll be definitely looking at this aspect of the product. But for now, it is a total must to implement it inside of the corporate environment to see how the product is being used and get more feedback from the organizations. And that's a great tool for us to help us grow and get to B2C aspects. I think it's going to be down the road.
And Alexa, another question for you. I mean, looking at this, great experience with DuPont and other clients that you and Moeco have all worked with, what's some of the advice that you would give to the executives listening right now as they're starting to wrap their minds around digitizing their business for the first time? Maybe what are one of those, 1, 2, 3 boxes they need to check as they begin to look at taking their, established business into this new digital age when it comes to either product tracking or some of the other solutions that Anyanta had mentioned to us?
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. Great question, because first of all, I would like to express all the respect to those organizations looking for improvement with the help of technology. It's a rocky road, and sometimes a lot of effort is needed here. And I think that if the company has already made a decision to look for the new technologies and go out there and talk to startups, there's a lot of learning experience from both sides that we have to go through together. So it's kind of listening to what is there and evaluating together with the startup if it's worth it or not, even from ROI perspective. So how much that will it cost, and how much value it's going to bring, as well as how much savings the company is going to have. And having this dialogue on a constant manner that maybe startup can change something from their side to be able to fit in this requirements is a total must. And then the organizations should express as much as possible from the their goals and just announce them in advance, like this is what we're trying to get and this is how much we can invest. So the startup could do some optimization from their side and think if they're going to meet their requirements or no. But being very clear from day one of this communication is, I think, very efficient.
Absolutely. And Anyanta, one more question for you. I mean, having gone through this pilot, seeing all this data from a marketing perspective, this could be a gold mine, not just for you internally, but externally to all of your customers. What's next? Now that this pilot has gone through, you've seen some great results. The digitization has begun internally. Now let's look to, hence today's topic, the future of work. What does the future look like for you, your team, and for DuPont when we look at the future of work and digitization? If you can share a little bit more with us about that.
Okay, specifically for this project, the next phase we're at now is building use cases internally, like we're extending our use cases now. So we're trying to single out the application, because obviously we have hundreds of thousands of shipments going out every day. We can't track everything. That won't be a good use of our resources or the time of our CSRs. So we are now building specific buckets of orders we want to have trackers on at all times. So either if it's sensitive products to rushed orders to trying to do the end user location tracking. So obviously that came with a whole bunch of privacy things we needed to go through with our legal team and everything, which we've been able to figure out the right ways to go about it in the right execution path. So we are just embracing technology, embracing all the value it can give to us as an organization to be more efficient in our processes, because DuPont is a company that's been around for a long time. We're very set in our ways, and a lot of the information or the way we are collecting information is very outdated. So we're trying to really update all of this, and embracing technology in the sense of the kind of data we can get from the Moeco sensor is one way to go about it. And once we have all this data, we're trying to see how we can imply predictive analytics to it as well. So we don't want to just rely on the information that's given to us. We want to be able to predict some of the things to expect and know how to counteract them. And this will help us make better decisions in how we choose our logistic partners, the routes we intend to use for our shipments. And just to touch on the question again, I don't know if that was directed to me or Alexa, but for the households for this pilot, we did not send out the products we were tracking were not household products. These are industrial applications. So they were going to warehouses, industrial plants across the globe, not actual households. So just saying that there. But yes, back to the point. Yeah, we're embracing technology, and the future and partnership with Moeco is going to be something we're going to keep hearing about, because already, as I said, other businesses are getting interested. And we're going to try and see how we can get enough data in the next coming years to be able to make this more of a smart, predictive bucket that we can use to just make business decisions. Yeah.
Wonderful. And Alexa, let's close it out with you. One more big question. Thank you, Anyanta, as well. I mean, as we look at the future of connectivity, in addition to the future of work, Alexa, we've got 5G. We've talked about edge computing here at Plug and Play. We've talked about much more connectivity that we're going to have both as businesses and consumers as we enter this very fast approaching future every day. And what does this all mean for things, as Anyanta mentioned, for predictive maintenance, for the future of work, for product tracking? How does this look for those businesses that are beginning their digitization journey? And we'll start with you, Alexa. We'll close out, and then we'll go from there. So, Alexa, to you.
Thank you, Kyle. That's true. So a couple of years ago, we would never thought that it's going to evolve so much and that we could get the data in real time so efficiently. So with the 5G evolving these days, we're also catching up with this ecosystem and trying to support the product with all the technologies available on the market. And definitely we're great players in this 5G ecosystem, and we're now participating in a lot of organizations that are developing 5G networks. And as we're going to adopt that for the clients and globally, I think that the main aspects, as you Kyle mentioned, the connectivity part is really important. So how the data flows from those sensors to the software platform. So in other words, how soon can we see it, and how this data can affect our decision-making processes, and in terms of risk mitigation is very, very much important here. And as we can learn from our clients, the sooner the data comes to the client side, the more efficient the process can be optimized. So the initial goal is to automate everything around product journey and the quality assurance. The data plays a great role, and the connectivity plays a great role in terms of how the quick the data can be used on the customer side. And definitely we were the technology company that is looking for new ways to speed things up and to deliver the data as soon as possible. And we are now using narrowband IoT to fast forward this data to the software platform. But I mean, we're now generally always open for anything that is out there. And back to plug and play and honoring them, we're really inside the ecosystem, and we're learning from other startups. We're learning how we could collaborate with other startups or other technologies to improve the product in a continuous manner. So that never stops. So yeah, that's it. I probably give the word back.
Wonderful. No, thank you very much. And thank you as well to Anyanta for sharing what happened in between the digitization of their businesses, DuPont and her team, along with the pilot with Moeco as well. So big thank you. And also thank you to everyone for tuning in today. A big thank you to Plug and Play, to Sophia and Tiffany for all that they do, helping to make this possible for us here at Moeco, and all of our partners and all of you as well. And if you have any more questions, feel free to share them, but we're also available offline as well. You can reach out to the Moeco team at any time at moeco.io. So feel free to check out all of us on LinkedIn, along with on the website as well, moeco.io. We'll be back here, I think, next month as well. We've got a few more webinars that will be coming up and continuing this series around innovation, the future of work, and just digitization as a whole as well. So if you have any requests or any questions around digitization and topics we should be covering, please do reach out to the Plug and Play team and or ourselves, and we'll try to work that into the upcoming schedule here for the rest of the year as well. And again, a big thank you. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott, here today with the Moeco team. Very excited. And again, thank you, Plug and Play. Thank you to all of you, Alexa, Anyanta, and Sophia and Tiffany as well. Very much appreciative.
No worries. Thank you so much, Kyle. And I just launched a poll for everyone to fill out. If you could so kindly answer that with your feedback for how this event went. And when you're finished, I'll go ahead and end it, and we can, end it for the day. Thank you.